Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Sparring Partners Podcast. I am Coby McKinley, joined as always, Brad Jones over on the other side. Brad, say hey to the people.
Huh? Oh, hello. Hello, everybody. Great day to the people. Hello, people.
What were you investigating over there? What were you looking up?
Oh, I'm looking up everything, dog. First of all, I got to pull up who besides Korean Zombie is on this card this weekend because I do not have a single clue who is on the card besides Zombie and Ortega this weekend. Who's the co-main event? Who is the co-main event this weekend?
Co-main event is a guy with a picture on Google and a guy without a picture on Google.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I can look at it right now. It is. I thought I could. It is Cyril Gane, who is prospect against Ante Delija, or is that? Yeah, Delija.
Elysia. Well, I know they're very high on Cyril Gain. They have been pushing him pretty hard, so we'll see what happens. I haven't really been paying that much attention to him. I think he's ranked already, isn't he? Like 15 or something like that.
Cyril Gane, probably.
Not difficult to be ranked in heavyweight. You get like 2 good wins, and they throw you.
Well, I don't think he's ranked. He's only 6-0. I don't. I can't.
Still, I think he's
no, he is not.
I do. I think he's like 15 or 14. I swear. Dude, they're trying to push that guy. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention.
Oh, man.
Like him for some reason.
Okay. Well, also on the card, we have Caitlin Chookagian and Jessica Andrade.
That is what is the real co-main event.
Yeah, I like that fight a lot. But before we've jumped ahead. We've jumped into. That's fine.
Too far.
So Brad and I coming off a weekend wedding. Shouts out to Keith and Kayla. Congrats. But the event and the preparation for the event left me in a depleted state. I have not felt like that since I was 22. Yeah. The hangover that I was nursing on Saturday and then also Sunday, it didn't confirm that I made great choices, but I had a good time.
Yeah, fantastic time. It most certainly caused the delay of the episode by one day because there was no way that either of us were going to be recording anything on Sunday.
And if we did, it would have been a horrible, horrible episode.
It just been awful.
I mean, I'm not sure where the bar is by default, but it would have been lower than that.
It would have been way lower than any content we've given you all so far.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah,
so day recovery. Here we are.
Yeah, so we recovered. We watched and absorbed the fights over the weekend. I think I got in maybe a little, I'm a wild man, so I also may have peeped a little bit of Bellator over the weekend.
Didn't even know it was on.
Yeah, well, I'll fill you in on that and more. The more is because there were 2 Bellator cards.
2 Bellator cards I didn't know happened.
Yeah, man, we'll get into it. Bellator is they're doing their own thing right now. So I guess there's no better place to start than the fights that just happened. So the fights that just happened was UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen Moraes, where we had the de facto number 1 contender, not named Aljamain Sterling, taking on Corey Sandhagen. We talked last time about what we might expect out of those two, and I felt like Sandhagen delivered big time.
Absolutely, unquestionably. I had been kind of sleeping on Sandhagen, honestly, because I felt like he was a guy that came in. He was on a roll. He got a couple quick wins early on, and they ran him up the rankings, right? And I feel like the first time I really paid attention to him was the win over a Sun South, which is already, that was like kind of getting him into the top 5. So I was kind of late to the party. I see the win over Sun South. I'm like, all right, dude's legit. He's solid, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's get him in his number 1 contender match against Aljo. Gets destroyed, gets obliterated. I'm like, oh man, Aljo just kind of tore through him like it was nothing. So I'm like, okay, how good really is this guy? Like I've seen Marlon be around, put in some great performances, do some really good stuff. And dude, he couldn't do any of that. Sandhagen was like, nah, we're not doing that. Oh, you're gonna stop. I'm just gonna kick your leg. I'm like 6 inches taller than you, and I'm way over here. You're just gonna keep blitzing at me with power. That ain't happening. Dude, he was running the whole game. He was running the whole match. It was like 6 minutes. He dominated the whole thing.
His volume, man. His volume. And the variety of strikes was as good as anything that we've seen out of the bantamweight division in the UFC. It was, and then the finishing sequence was equally unexpected. And man, it was a night of spinning shit. That's what it was. It was a night of spinning shit.
Yes, it was.
Not that a ton of only 2 fights on the card ended via the Nick Diaz patented spinning shit, but
that's 2 more than we usually get.
2 more than we usually get, and both were astounding. We can take this time to give an honorable mention to a man who should have won all of the performance of the night bonuses. Mr. I'm going to butcher this name. Joaquin. Buckley. It's the first. The last name was not the concern. It was the first name.
Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix. That's how you got to do it.
Joaquin. Okay. Joaquin Buckley.
One of them's a joker. One of them knocks people dead.
Dude. Buckley hit a move that you usually see in a Taekwondo class.
Mm-hmm. And even then, it doesn't work most of the time.
And ended up picking up a KO win against possibly the classiest man in the game, Impa Kasanganai, because he had nothing but praise and gratefulness. If you can feel that after being on the receiving end of a highlight finish, that will be played before UFC events from now until forevermore. That was awesome. And then let's see. Tom Breeze looked awesome, dude. He looked great.
Yeah, Tom Breeze did great.
Oh man, he looked awesome. He got a finish. The finish came as the result of these stiff jabs, man. Really powerful step-in jabs. And KB Bullar just couldn't stand up to him, man. Tom Breeze looks awesome at middleweight. I'm really excited to see what he does next.
And we're back.
Man. So in the co-main event of this, we just mentioned Breeze. He looked great. And in the co-main event, which I kind of glossed over after we spoke about the main event, was Barboza and Amir Khani, which I thought was a very solid win for Barboza. I would call it dominant, but not one-sided. What did you think about the contest?
I just thought Amir Khani looked flat, but not necessarily like I don't know. I was like, I wasn't expecting. I'm not expecting. It's like we've gotten used to Americani, and his style kind of over the years now. And he did as well as I expected him to do. I didn't expect him to be able to go out there and strike with Barboza or to be able to take him down and hold him down on the ground, which he couldn't do either of those things. So he just kind of got pieced up on the feet and just kind of got left standing there in the lurch, a lot, getting hit. Someone brought up a good point. I don't remember who it was, and they were like, I think it was on the post show. They were like, you see Barboza in the fights like with like Khabib and like Kevin Lee, getting like taken down and like controlled on the ground. But like, if you're not an elite, like if you don't have elite takedowns, Barboza has really good takedown defense. A lot of people don't remember that, but like for the most part, no one else is taking him down and holding him down like that. So it went about as I expected. Solid win for Barboza. Americani's like, a perpetual like 15 to 20 guy, so that's what I thought.
Yeah, I thought he looked better than, well, that kind of that has been the story about Amir Khani, unfortunately, because he's not exactly young.
No, it was
And
like
he took it, and he took,
like, such
yeah,
so hot in the beginning, and like everybody thought he was like this big prospect that was like gonna just evolve and blow up. He's training with the SBG there for a little while, right? And I don't know. I don't think he's really. I just don't. I think they had higher expectations. I think people had higher expectations and hopes for him beforehand than we're kind of seeing now. Like it's probably not going to pan out for him being like an elite top 10 featherweight.
yeah. I mean, there's still time. I mean, he's not, like I said, he's not necessarily young. He's 31, but yeah. I mean, I don't. I think that yeah, he just shows up sometimes and he looks a little flat. I don't want to take anything away from Barboza because I think why he looked flat was because Barboza was just ultimately better. But yeah, I thought it was a good win for Barboza, first official win at featherweight. Although I personally thought that he won the contest against Dan Ige.
He definitely did.
But yeah, man, overall, the card, we also had Ben Rothwell and Marcin Tabora. All right.
I got nothing to say about that.
I got nothing.
After the first round, Ben Rothwell had nothing left to give.
Well,
I will say something about this real quick. You'll recall, right, before the long layoff, right, which I looked into, he was gone for 3 years. He was gone. Rothwell was gone from like, I don't remember the years, but he was gone for 3 years, and before that, he was on that roll, dude. He finished Overeem, he finished Matt Mitrione, and then he finished some other elite heavyweight that I can't remember right now. And then he had the main event against JDS and lost that one, and then it was like, boom, you're gone for. It was the other submission. It was that wacky submission. He got that thing 2 times in a row from the front. But no, yeah, he hasn't been the same since he came back. He's an old man, he's really old, like close to 40, but like he hasn't looked like nothing since he came back, like just really old and slow and herky jerky and like that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm not even sure what it was he had before, but whatever it was, that thing he had before is like definitely gone. I don't see it in him at all anymore.
I think it's just the new heavyweight division, man. The new heavyweight.
It definitely moved on.
We've talked about it forever that the age of a heavyweight, you can just be older and be a heavyweight.
Yeah.
And that's changing. That is not necessarily the case as in its entirety any longer. And it's slowly more and more. I think the future of heavyweight is going to be young, just like the rest of the divisions. For example, on the card, we had Tom Aspinall versus Alan Baudot, I believe is how he's a French fighter.
The French,
yes. He's a French fighter. Both men were pretty. I mean, Aspinall weighed in at 250, but Baudot was he looked small for a heavyweight, but the speed at which these guys compete is what is so impressive. And a lot of these behemoth heavyweights are ultimately, just under super heavyweights. Tends to be, they're looking more and more obsolete.
Yeah.
Compared to the more athletic, heavyweight athletes that we're getting in the UFC. That I just brought him up, but that Tom Aspinall, he is 9-2. All his wins are in the first round.
Yeah,
he looks good. Yeah, and there were some other solid fights on the card, but nothing that blew my hair back.
Yeah.
Nothing like the spinning back kick KO. Either of them.
Yeah.
I think I would like to at this point move over and talk about just as a this was kind of, I don't know if you felt the same way. I felt like it was a little bit of a slow news week.
For sure.
What's that?
For sure. It was a slow news week. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was a slow news week. We learned, we were talking about earlier, we learned that John Jones did indeed hide under the octagon at Jackson Wink. According to him, it was because he smoked I was gonna say an adult cigarette, but all cigarettes are adult cigarettes. He smoked a blunt before he went to the gym.
Good old
And
PCJ.
yeah, and so he was paranoid and hid under the thing. A thing that, it was a story that I don't remember where it originated. Was that Uncle Chael? Yeah, that was an Uncle Chael
on JRE in 2016.
Yeah, which means Chael has got eyes and ears everywhere.
He does.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I mean, it is what it is. That, like we were talking about it before the show.
That was news this week. That's how slow the news week this was.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a big story.
So I think let's go ahead. We're gonna move on to next week's card.
Yeah, let's do it.
Actually, no, we're not, because we just skipped over a big topic. What's next for Corey Sandhagen?
There we go. That's a good topic. Let's do that one first.
Yeah. What's next for Corey Sandhagen?
Okay, so Sandhagen, he takes out the number one guy who was not rightfully the number one. So theoretically, Aljo would move up to number one. That's going to put Sandhagen at number two. Moraes, 3 or below. So afterwards, Sandhagen calls out either Frankie or Dillashaw. I'm down for either one of those, but I would certainly lean Dillashaw. Dillashaw's been gone now 2 years, completely. I mean, for me anyway, like out of sight, out of mind. I completely forgot about him. The division's completely moved on. Had multiple champions now since he's left. And just the whole division's like almost completely turned over. I mean, when he left, it was like him, Cody Garbrandt. There's no one else. Let's just do this rematch like unnecessarily. Now it's like 5 number one contenders there. Cody Garbrandt's nowhere to be found. Had left the division. So yeah, I'd be very excited to see PJ come back. What's he look like now? 2 years off. He's getting up there, right? In the lower and mid 30s, like.
Yeah,
for a while. Like he was on this season with John Dotson, whose skills have seemed to diminish greatly in the last couple of years. So that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see Sandhagen take on Dillashaw. Dillashaw's good to go like mid-January, so do that like a main event. The next number one contender after Jan and Aljo. But then I would also I still want Frankie. Frankie ran in, got a good win that put him at number 5 in the division. So I still feel like Frankie's he fights another top 5 guy, and that's the next one up after, so then there's our next 3 number one contenders in a row.
Yeah, man. I think after the Sterling loss, there were quite a few doubts about the potential upside of Sandhagen? How do you recover from a loss that you were never in the fight? And I think that the performance we saw out of him this past Saturday was a very good sign, because he not only rebounded, but he looked better than he has ever looked.
Yeah.
Against arguably his he lost to Aljamain Sterling, but on paper Moraes was a much tougher test.
Yeah.
And he passed with flying colors. So I agree. I think that a fight against Dillashaw would be just what he needs.
Yeah.
To really stake claim to a shot at the belt.
He hasn't beaten a former champion yet, so that'd be good. And it's like Dillashaw still, I think, has some kind of name value, right? So you could really build off of that. Sandhagen just has to keep his fingers crossed that Jan beats Aljo, because if Aljo does something similar, takes Jan down, submits him, Sandhagen ain't getting that rematch right away. They're just not going to do that. It was so effortless the first time. So as long as if Jan beats Aljo, I think Sterling or Sandhagen is he's good to go. So he's right back in there. He didn't lose much.
Yeah, how forgiving are MMA fans, man? I mean, we both have a pretty I don't know. I feel like you feel the same way as I do about doping in the sport. But even though I personally feel like the punishments that are put in place are deserved, I don't think they're excessive. I think they're right about where we need them to be. I can't wait for Dillashaw to come back.
No, I know.
And he's a verified cheater.
That's the thing. It's the suspensions don't deter future use clearly from anyone else. And so I'm just like, man, we're just wasting a lot of these guys' good years. I would really think of how many prime years of John we wasted, and it's fine. He's still around slaughtering people, but I'm like, God, dude, John just 6 years from 28 to his early 30s, and I'm like, yeah, Dillashaw's lost a lot of time here too, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do about it, right? You get shot.
Yeah, you get caught, and that's the thing. Talking about Dillashaw gets me so excited about possible matchups, like a fight between he and Frankie Edgar.
They're
I'm in.
All fresh matchups. The whole thing
is
completely turned over since he's been gone. You can go through the whole top 5. I don't think he's fought any of them in there at all.
No.
Sandhagen, Moraes, Frankie, Aljo. None of these guys. No.
I mean, you can extend it down.
Peter Yan. He hasn't fought any of these dudes.
No, you can extend it all the way down to number 8, I think.
That's just in 2 years. Just in 2 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Where does Moraes go?
Oof. Now he is in a much worse spot. He already lost the title shot to Cejudo, which kind of doesn't really matter anymore, but also looked really just bad against Sandhagen. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
An Aldo rematch?
No, man, I'm not feeling that. I don't know. Just
you gotta eat.
He's got to eat. I don't want Aldo. That was an Aldo thing. I don't want Aldo fighting at 35 anymore. I got it before because he's one win, boom, we get a title shot. Even got a loss, boom, title shot anyway. Fight. If you're just fighting there, I don't need to see him, kill himself to go down there. But it's you're not getting a title shot anytime soon. Now, if they want to do something cool with him, kind of off track here, but Dominic Cruz is still out there. Dominic Cruz versus Aldo fight. I can do that. That's fine. Or Moraes versus Dominic Cruz. That could work as well. There's lots of options there.
Ooh, that's good too. What's the word on Cruz?
Not anything I've heard. To my knowledge, he's not injured. I think he's just like, I'm just gonna wait for some things to shake out. Yeah, I don't know.
He might be trying to time a Dillashaw rematch as well.
I mean, yeah, he's one of those. There's a couple of those cats down there that are like, they've got like this legend status, like him and like Uriah Faber and these dudes where like they can just be gone for years and years. And they're like, oh, you're back, all right, title shot or main event, and we're gonna put you against the number one contender, and then either you're gonna get a title shot or you're gonna get wiped out. Or
Yeah.
build some other guy. That has happened repeatedly over the last couple of years.
Well, I tried to move on prematurely, but I think now is the time that we move on to kind of an interlude where I talk about another set of fights that happened over the past weekend, which Bellator Euro Series, and as confusing as this is, Bellator 248 also happened on Saturday. But after Euro Series, but on the same broadcast, it also 248 only consisted of 4 fights. Dude, Bellator's
having problems.
Bellator's confusing, man.
Bellator is having problems.
It's here. Well, I'll do a rundown real quick of what happened this past weekend at Bellator, just to cover our bases and talk about the wide world of MMA. So the main event of Bellator Paris, dude, this is all messed up. This is all messed up. So Bellator Paris, main card. How many fights was on the main card, Brad?
I would say like 4 or 5, but I think it's not going to be that.
It's not. Can you imagine half of 4? 2 fights? Yeah, 2 fights were on the main card.
What?
It's a 2-fight main card. You have your classic. Yeah, dude. I mean, whatever. Like, listen, dude. You know what? They're trimming the fat. That's what Bellator is doing. These past 3 weeks, we've only cared about the main event and co-main event in the UFC. Scott Coker's like, guess what? You won't have to worry about any other ones.
Anyone else? They're not here. All right, you're gonna
don't
tune
worry
in.
about them. We got Tim Johnson, Czech Congo in the main event, and we got Saul Rogers and Arbi Mezadov in the co-main event.
Arby, you're gonna tell me that you can only provide me with the top 2 fights on the card, and I don't even know who 2 of those people are. You're gonna tell me the bet? All you have to offer me is Chicago?
No, but hold on. So, but like I said, the same night, Bellator also had Bellator 248.
Naturally, yeah.
Where we had Michael Page versus Ross Houston, Bellator debutante. Ross Houston, who is 8-0-1 coming into this fight, at a catch weight of 175 pounds. And
short notice fight, yeah. I was. They're not in a real weight class, so I was just wondering, or maybe from the beginning,
they
like whatever.
Sure, I think it's just
for the hell of it.
I mean, I don't know the backstory to why it's a catch weight. Bellator, like we've said, does their own thing, so it's very possible it was a contracted catch weight.
You just run through all the problems Bellator's having right now.
I mean, hold on. Let me just finish the results at least.
Please finish this part.
So we had Tim Johnson defeated Czech Congo via split decision, which was kind of a heartbreaker for Czech Congo because it was his first fight ever in Paris. Because Paris literally just legalized MMA. Weird thing to do in the middle of a pandemic. when no one can
whatever. Nothing else to do.
Tim Johnson wins via split decision. I didn't see a split decision. I saw a pretty clear-cut decision for Tim Johnson, which is good for him because he avenged a loss. Czech Congo stopped him a little bit ago at I can't remember which Bellator it was, but he got stopped. He got knocked out by Czech Congo. And then, the co-main event was Saul Rogers, and I will say it again. His name is Arby. Mezhidov. And then we go to Bellator 248, which again was on the exact same night. Michael Page fought Ross Houston at a catchweight, and he won via unanimous decision, 29-28 on one of those cards, 30-27 on the other two. That fight actually was pretty good. Michael Page has come out, and because everyone's like, who's Ross Houston? Venom Page, you shouldn't knock this guy out. And Venom Page has since said after the fight that the mat was slippery, so he couldn't win.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. But actually, so not to totally. So I take it you did not watch either Bellator event.
No, did not watch.
So, all right. Well, this was extra duty for me, to be clear to the audience. This was just a thing that I did because I have some sort of to be diagnosed issue. I watched it, and Michael Page fought a good fight against Ross Houston. He actually showed some wrestling, which I've never seen before out of Page, and some really slick groundwork. His top control was awesome, and he always seemed to be a step ahead on the floor. So I honestly came away from the fight thinking like, okay, this is like almost the level of a pump. Because like one thing I don't think Michael Page understands is like, if we don't know the name of the guy you're fighting, we at least want the fight to be competitive. Like it's one of those things like cans are not thought of in the same way in MMA as they are in boxing. Boxing cans are an integral part of the sport. You fight cans to get your reps in, to build yourself up and build your record and all that. The culture of MMA, for better or worse, does not view it that way. It views it as no matter how many wins you get, if they're against cans, those wins are almost illegitimate.
They're useless because you beat 30 cans, and then your 31st fight is against like a real elite guy. You'll get murked, and it doesn't even matter how many cans you took out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've said it time and time again, just in like the few episodes we've done, is that MMA is about learning. It's about learning new things about the fighters and their skill sets. And if all you're doing is fighting cans, what are we learning? We're learning that you can beat up people that are not as good as you, and we know they're not as good as you from like the opening bell. On paper, the opening bell. I'll say this, man. Ross Houston, he lost via decision, but he did a really great job, actually, considering the opposition. His Bellator debut in the main event. Like, dude, like everything was like, hey, Ross, sign this contract so you can get knocked out.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
And he did, he won a round on a judge's scorecard. But yeah, man, Bellator is really, when you look at the way the UFC has handled business through the pandemic, it's clear that Bellator is just trying to get on TV. Like they're just like the UFC. It seemed like they got this whole thing in motion. I mean, the Apex is a huge key to their success, right? And Bellator obviously doesn't have something like that. So Bellator cards, which are usually, no disrespect to the Bellator fighters, but Bellator cards are kind of thin. And through this pandemic, man, these.
It's bad. I mean, like, these are some of these problems they're having now were persisting before this all happened, but like in general, it's compounded, made it way worse. I, for one, could not tell you all of the Bellator champions right now. That's like the marquee thing of your organization, right? Is you're selling, how many champions they got, like 6 champions, right? Couldn't even name you all their champions right now. Their roster is so weak that we're seeing just so many like weird, unnecessary rematches. I feel like we're like Congo and fucking whatever, Tim Johnson. I feel like we're seeing a lot of these weird rematches in Bellator, and I'm like, who asked for this? It's like they don't have anybody else. They're like, let's just throw these guys back together. The changing, leaving Paramount was important because after Paramount became Paramount from Spike, it was clear they were not in the fight game anymore. But now they've gone to, are they on DAZN still? DAZN's been a massive disaster. And then also,
I don't know.
They went to CBS Sports, who doesn't give a damn about them. I don't know how the hell they even watch it. And then they're trying to do these Thursday shows. Who is going to watch your Bellator show on a Thursday? I don't know when it is. I don't know where it is. I don't know who's fighting. And apparently, there's only 4 people that fight on the main card anymore. So what is it?
Two though.
To care about these things? Like, there was a time, like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Coker took over. His whole strategy is like, all right, Bjorn, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. I'm going to get all these old, dusty old men in here, going to get the eyeballs, right? That was a terrible strategy, but it was a strategy, and it worked to some degree, right? We got our freak show fights. I would actually tune into Bellator. I knew when they were happening, and there was some level of old man interest there, right? Mm-hmm. That's gone. They're old men. All those old men are now, like, dead. There are no more ancient old, there's no more, like, Ken Shamrocks to roll out on a cart, or like an old Gracie, to dig up. They can't do that anymore. You got like, and then they're younger guys, they're younger stars, like your Chandlers and stuff. They're out. They're like, all right, that's enough of this. Like, they're just in a really, really bad way right now. Like, they're biggest stars in Bellator. Who are their biggest stars?
Their biggest stars.
It was probably Chandler before, right? Was their biggest home?
No. Well, it depends on where.
McDonald's gone. Where McDonald's gone already?
Yeah, it depends on where you're talking about, because next week's card.
They're having another card next week.
Next week's card, actually, we've been talking shit about Bellator for the past 10 minutes.
Who's on it?
And now I'm looking at next week's card, and it's not bad. Like, essentially, compared to what we were just talking about.
Let's hear
Bellator too far.
What day is it on? Let's start there.
It is on October 15th.
Okay.
So it is on Thursday. Okay. It's on Thursday.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
All right. So Thursday night after work, I can't wait to watch some fights, and I got to get up and go to work Friday morning. Continue.
Okay. I'll start in the prelims. I'll mention the featured prelim, which I don't think they do those, but those are on YouTube. Joe Schilling fights. So again, this is the thing about Bellator. Bellator is different in that they will have Bellator builds fighters in that they'll have a guy with name value fight a guy with who it's like they're there because they are a fighter, not because of who they are. Like Joe Schilling is fighting. Ooh, actually, take that back. He's fighting Curtis Millender. You not know Curtis Millender?
UFC vet?
Yes.
I didn't know he had washed out of the UFC already. I thought Curtis Millender was still in the UFC.
Okay, well, that's a good fight.
Sure.
That does not belong on the
Is
prelims.
it an MMA fight or is that a kickboxing fight?
Nope, it is a mixed martial arts contest.
Okay. I can work with that.
Then we have again, we have Sadawad, which I don't know if you've ever watched Sadawad fight.
I've watched him lose to Ben Henderson recently.
Damn. Well, all right. I guess I won't sell you on the fact that he is good. He is a good fighter. He is good, and he's exciting. He's generally exciting. He fights Ricky Bandejas and Leandro Higa. That's a good fight too. Patricky Ferrer is fighting Jaleel Willis.
Is that lightweight featherweight champ?
That is lightweight. He is the older brother of the double champ. I believe this is
lightweight and featherweight. Yeah.
I believe Patricky Ferrer is his last bout, or at least the last bout I saw him in, was in the finals of the Risen Lightweight Grand Prix. And then the older brother, the non-champ brother, is Patricky. And then in the main event, we have Chris Cyborg taking on Arlene Biancao.
So let's see. Cyborg went over there and won the belt from who?
Julia Budd.
Julia Budd, and this is her first defense. Yeah.
I believe so. I can double check, but yeah, I mean it's
Cyborg hype just died when she went to Bellator, didn't it?
Well, I mean that's the thing, man. Like the as much as
big hype, especially when that Amanda fight, and then over.
Yeah. She lost to Amanda, then Felicia Spencer win, Julia Budd win. Yeah, I just think it's a matter of eyeballs, man, for Bellator. It really is. And we were talking earlier about the fact that, like, how the hell is Bellator supposed to build up their next generation roster when their preliminary cards are primarily filled not by Bellator fighters but local fighters, by fighters who are local to the area, and they are contracted for that fight just to fill out the card. And then in addition, like Jordan Williams, for example, he lost at a Contender Series, and then he picked up a win at he won a Contender Series. He tested positive for the marijuana, so it was a no contest. But then he fought at Bellator, had an awesome performance, and Bellator didn't pick him up. So we went back to the Contender Series, and now he's in the UFC. Like, I don't know who's in charge of recruiting young talent, but they're getting killed by the Contender Series, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's going to be a big issue for Bellator moving forward because, like, no disrespect to Jaleel Willis, but Patricky Ferrer should not be fighting a guy without a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the faces of your organization. Bellator's got problems, and even though this move to CBS Sports has been talked about as a good one, as a big one, is CBS Sports related to Showtime?
I haven't the slightest clue. I would not be surprised at all if they were owned by it's all Disney, right? Disney owns everything, so you never know.
Well, I'm saying because I'm gonna go over to the old computer machine, CBS Sports. Owned by Showtime.
Anything, I feel like
Showtime
would own Showtime.
Is Showtime owned by Okay, Viacom was restructured as CBS and acquired Showtime. Yeah, so Showtime.
Wait a minute, all three of them are Viacom, Paramount, Showtime, and CBS Sports.
Dude, America's so fucked.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I know they're all everyone, and yeah, they're all owned by Disney. Yeah, okay.
Paramount's been pulling the goddamn strings the whole time. Paramount's been the dead emperor in the background.
Mickey Mouse has got those strings going like crazy.
Yeah.
Now they're not actually, but yeah, dude. Hold on. Oh my God, hold on. So oh my God. All right. Why the internet is not giving me, they're trying to give me all this like splits and reacquisitions and mergers and stuff. But I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that CBS does indeed own Showtime.
Okay.
Which to me, wow, we can just cut. Listen, I didn't know we would be talking about CBS and the ownership of Showtime. I would have done research beforehand, but all I'm saying is I've done my research now, and I have a theory about why Bellator went to CBS Sports.
There we go. Bring it. Let's hear it.
I think that they will end up doing shows on Saturdays again on Showtime.
Okay.
Like I expect to see Bellator on Showtime at some point. And to me it doesn't make sense why they're not already. Because it's not like CBS Sports. There's no way that CBS Sports has more viewership than Showtime.
It's like Showtime's behind some sort of paywall, yeah. That's where Thomas and what's his name are.
I mean, it's included in my cable.
All their stuff's on YouTube also, though. So I don't know. Bellator's just fucked from start to finish. And that's pretty much all there is to it.
Well, that's a good bookend for that. But yeah, so kind of to close this up out, let's move on to Saturday, where the Korean Zombie takes on Brian Ortega in the main event. In the co-main event is Cyril Gane versus a man without a picture on Google, but he is 17-3, so could be good. And then in the third fight down, we have Caitlin Chookagian taking on Jessica Andrade. And then, we got Jimmy Crute taking on, I'm going to try this one, Modestus Bukakas.
Ooh, man, that's exotic.
Okay. And then in the first fight on the main card, we have Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. I'm always down for Almeida.
Man, Almeida's been gone for a long time.
And we'll kind of spy on the prelims here. Oh, Jillian Robertson taking on Poyana Botelho. Botelho. Yep. And James Krause is jumping on the card against Claudio Silva. There's some other fights on here. Yeah. So now we've named most of the fights, not all the fights. Let's dive back into the main event. Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie.
Yeah. I am very excited for this fight. This fight's real long in the making, right? I mean, they booked this thing like into last year, right? It's just been put off for various reasons and injuries and stuff. Ortega still has not fought since the Max fight. I mean, Max has fought 5 times since then. It's crazy. I mean, he's like, that's such a long time to be off at such a point in your career. On the other hand, I'm super high on Zombie. I've been super high on Zombie. I think if it wasn't for that like crazy very last second KO against Yair, he would have already had the title shot. And I think he is a lock for future champion. 100%. No matter who, I love Max to death. Even if Max was still champion, I would beat Zombie to beat him. I would pick Zombie to beat him. And I'm picking Zombie to knock out Ortega. And I'm picking Zombie to knock out Volkanovski. I've been high on, dude, ever since Zombie got back. I was high on Zombie way back in the day, back when he was submitting Poirier, son. That was my favorite fight for years back in that main event against Poirier. And then he had the crazy shoulder dislocated thing against Aldo, which is kind of, not real. I'm not going to say it's unfair, but it's like you didn't really get to see his full.
Yeah, I agree.
Title fight. And dude, since he came back from that military leave, dude, he has been on fire.
He got that discipline in him from the military.
Blasting fools, and like these fights against these guys, I'm like, man, he's blowing them out of the water.
Yeah, man.
He's like active too. I'm expecting Ortega to be rusty, and Ortega already, his style was absorb a lot of damage, right? And then if something, it ends up on the floor, I'll pop some kind of crazy submission or something, right? But like, I think Zombie's gonna put it on it, dog.
Yeah, man. I'm interested in this bout because Ortega came out and it was a few weeks ago. By this point, he did a interview with ESPN's Brett Okamoto, and he said that he had taken this time off to develop skills. Like he changed coaches, he changed camps. He seemed actually a little bit upset at his old coaches because he is very clear that he feels he was never equipped with all of the skills that it was going to take to win.
So
yeah,
this is my coach's fault. You all didn't teach me what I needed to beat Max Holloway.
Yeah, well, and he said that about 2 fights before that one, he said he knew that he was over-reliant on jiu-jitsu. And so I'm excited to see what new skills he has, man.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long, and like I said, he's expressed that the time off was to develop new skills. So I'm excited. I also I lean Zombie, but dude, we don't have any recent data on Ortega, and so very excited. Yeah, man, Korean pop star got slapped to make this fight.
How about after all this time, Brian Ortega is still ranked number 2 at featherweight. After all this change, multiple champions have come and gone, raised. He has not budged in the rankings from number 2 this entire time. 2 years, 2 full years. How? How is that possible? They even dropped Connor down to number like 5 at lightweight or something, and it's driving me nuts. Brian Ortega steadfast at number 2. Then Dana straight up like, yeah, if he wins against Zombie, he's gonna get the next title shot. Why? Why would he deserve the next title shot? He got obliterated by Max. But yeah, they were like, nope, winner of this gets title shot, even if it's Ortega.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not going to end up being true, but
we shall see.
It is what it is. There's no way. There's just no way. Hold on, I had the rankings pulled up. We're gonna take a look. Yeah, Ortega at number 2 is,
it's crazy.
After all this time, is like borderline irresponsible. Yeah, dude, you have Zabit, you have Yair, you have Calvin Cutter, you have okay, I'm gonna stop there. But listen, yeah, that's a good place to start.
All those people have been active and should be above Brian Ortega.
Yeah, but yeah, so you're leaning Zombie.
Absolutely, 100% Zombie stamp of approval.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I would tend to agree just based on activity, man. I mean, um, it's not like that's the thing that's so scary about Zombie is that it's not like he can't fight on the floor. If anything, he's just as dangerous on the floor.
He's super deadly on the floor, dude. He's got some crazy submissions.
Yeah, and that like he is a true triple threat. He can absorb a shuck ton of damage. He can fight off his back. He can, if he's on top of you, it's not very good for you. And then on the feet, he's fast and he hits hard. And he has a good,
like, real hard.
Yeah, and he has a good variety of strikes.
Yeah.
And I agree. I don't think that. I think that Ortega probably loses, and I think it's just a matter of. Let's say he does have a bunch of new skills on the feet. He hasn't tested them in real time. In addition to ring rust, he has not implemented the new skills that he's been taught in real time, and especially not against someone as elite as Chan Sung Young.
Who's the most elite person that Brian Ortega's beat? Frankie Edgar?
Yeah. I mean, I still would count Ortega as elite before even after the Max fight. He's still an elite featherweight.
He is, but he doesn't have elite wins. Zombie has multiple elite wins.
Hold on.
Ortega's another dude just like TJ, bro. The people that he fought coming up through the featherweight division are all old and washed out now, and a whole new generation of younger guys come up.
Well, I agree that
fought them. He hasn't fought a lot of the guys that are ranked there, right? You know, he had the win over Frankie, and then before that, who was it?
Well, okay, I don't know. I don't like looking at it that way because when he beat it wasn't like he beat a bunch of washed up dudes and then they were like, well, I guess you get a shot at Holloway. No, when he beat them, they were not washed up dudes.
Yes, and that's how he earned his ranking. But I'm saying that skill set that he was able to use beforehand, it just isn't going to apply.
Maybe not. He has that. So yeah, leading up to the Holloway fight, which is insane. It's almost a full 2 years since he last fought, and it's over 2 years since he last won. So yeah, so I'm just going to name the 6 fights to lead up. Finish Thiago Tavares, Diego Brandao finish, 3rd round finish, Clay Guida 3rd round finish, Renato Moicano 3rd round finish, Cub Swanson 2nd round finish, Frankie Edgar 1st round finish, and then Max Holloway.
Yeah, I mean, those haven't necessarily aged that well, but at the time they were good wins.
Oh, at the time, Moicano, man, I know he was supposed to be the next big thing at featherweight, so it was a big win at the time. That loss to Aldo derailed that pretty bad, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think Saturday's card should be pretty fun, and I'm always down to watch. I mean, I'm always down to watch Ortega fight too. He's a really talented dude, and I'm excited to see what the new skills are that he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Well, you got anything else, or you want to get out of here?
Nah, that's all I got. Thanks for sticking in there, everybody. Week 4 is done. Clips will be hitting the channel soon. Full episode up soon. like and subscribe, comment below, leave us stuff, and we'll answer it.
Yeah.
And subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that little notification bell. Actually, you don't have to do. You know what? I've never hit the notification bell. Not once.
Okay, don't do that. It's dumb. Nobody likes the notification.
Okay,
bell.
well, but still like, comment, and subscribe. My name's Coby McKinley. That's Brad Jones. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Peace.